Easily the biggest chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo that has arrived on our screens, and Gege, with the help of Yuji Itadori, is building towards something amazing. I can just feel
Sometimes
it.
you gotta close the door to open a window.
Before we go any further, please be sure to like, subscribe, turn on the notifications for the channel, follow me on Instagram, and support the Patreon. Appreciate you. Mahoraga vs. Dabura continues further, with Dabura pushing his limits into what you might consider his awakening here, his eyes open moment, slicing off what I think is Mahoraga's hand. I can't quite sure, but I'm pretty sure that's Mahoraga's hand, only for it to grow back instantly, and the wheel continues on spinning. Similar to Gojo vs. Sukuna when Mahoraga had adapted the first time around to infinity and then slashed through Gojo's infinity, the adaptation continues further to give Sukuna a model that he could then use for the world slash. Now in this situation, Mahoraga's wheel continues to spin, which implies to me that Mahoraga isn't in the adapted phase. Well, he is, but he also has now gone past that. He is now finding a way to use those adaptations to counter and combat what is happening to him. He's now just becoming a test for Dabura to see how far Dabura can evolve as a sorcerer. Dabura's eye being the full central focus of this panel here, as if to showcase him waking up for the first time, finally seeing the beauty of the fight that he is engaging with, moving at speeds that I'm not sure we've seen happen within the Jujutsu Kaisen universe before, moving so fast that we are seeing versions of Mahoraga spread across the page, both facing backward and forward. Now, I imagine that when this is animated, we will get to see the animators moving Mahoraga in a way that sort of mirrors the wagon wheel effect. Now, if you're not familiar with that, it is a visual illusion that when something is spinning around so fast, it almost looks like a still image. Sometimes you might have seen Minecraft videos where someone's speeding along condensed ice along photo frames, and the photo frames eventually just start to look like still images until they start moving. And I imagine that this is a similar sort of situation here. Dabura begins talking about getting faster and faster to keep going and reach the light. Now, I like the idea that this might be a double entendre. Not only is Dabura obviously trying to attain speeds that he has never done before, but he's also sort of reaching enlightenment within this battle. He is chasing the light figuratively and metaphorically, and Dabura is so invested in this battle right here and now that he is pushing himself beyond his own limits, sacrificing body parts with kicks so powerful they are eviscerating the area surrounding them. As Dabura is getting ready to launch this kick into Mahoraga's skull, Gege starts delving into the science of what's happening and what's going on right now. When one approaches the speed of light, air ceases to function as a fluid and begins to behave as a solid, e.g. air resistance. In a way, this little moment here reminded me a lot of Yuki and Kenjaku when they fight, and if you want, I highly recommend that you go and reread those chapters. Keep those in mind, because I think that they're going to be very important, but we will spin back around to them towards the end of the video. Now, Yuki warned Kenjaku that gravity, mass, and time were all extremely dangerous, and now we've got Dabura using speed to create power to his kicks, heating them up essentially. And you can see this kick right here where he's describing it as hot and heavy, and you can see the air warping around his foot, holding it back, pushing against it until the air seems to shatter, smashing through the air as if it's a window, and landing a kick on Mahoraga so powerful a white hot ball of light gently envelops Mahoraga before completely and utterly annihilating the surrounding area. The only thing left standing in the wake of this destruction is Dabura, who is sweating buckets from the effort of reaching the speed that he has never done before. And in front of him stands the other object. In front of him floats the wheel of Mahoraga, glimmering and shining in the sun as a singular piece of flesh begins to regenerate. And I have to say this, I fucking love this panel. I know I said that in the last chapter about that panel of Mahoraga stood there, but I think this might also be my new favorite panel of Mahoraga. I know he's not in the panel, but the way he's depicted here, it's simplistic, it's beautiful, it's chaotic, but it's peaceful. It's like he just never leaves. He's always here. He's just this otherworldly presence, and it's such a beautiful panel. It's such a wonderful example of show and don't tell. And this is where Dabura begins to figure that Mahoraga is adapting easier to simplistic brute force attacks, as opposed to adapting to a difficult and complex technique. Obviously, we've already seen this before with Sukuna and Mahoraga adapting to his slashes, and then obviously Mahoraga taking a while to adapt to Gojo's techniques. And despite this occurrence bothering Dabura, despite that being the case, the very same thing is exciting him. Dabura is truly, at this moment in time, starting to become embraced in this fight, starting to enjoy the fight. There's this representation that I've mentioned a few times in Jujutsu Kaisen where Gege has crafted not one, not two, but 3 characters under the umbrella of the quote-unquote strongest archetype, and each one now is sort of representing different parts of the worlds that we have seen within the universe. Gojo, the strongest of the humans, Sukuna, the king of cases, and Dabura, the strongest that the Sumerians have to offer. Each version, Gege has explored each character in this unique and somewhat intricate way, in a way that defines their characters uniquely and in a way that stands out from each other. And all 3 have something in common, and that's the fact that they have all faced Mahoraga in combat. Mahoraga, to me, and should be now to you, should act as the litmus test for what qualifies a character within this series as strong. Now, obviously, there are outlying factors. There are characters that have been strong in their own right and have never even met Mahoraga, but Mahoraga is sort of the rite of passage into the halls of the quote-unquote strongest, and so far, Dabura is scoring high marks upon this test, and for all the agenda and memes about him, he's pushing forward nonetheless, emotional and physically, and I really like that about his character. Despite him being alien, it makes him feel relatable, because deep down in all of us there's this strength that we know is there, and sometimes we have to do some scary shit in order for us to find it. And I think that's what Dabura is going through right now, but he is continuing to prove himself against Mahoraga as a sorcerer in general. After this kick, that leg that he used to deliver that kick is completely and utterly mangled. In that moment, he is gazing upon this leg, and Dabura remembers that the humans had a way to heal themselves, and though he's never seen it, the mere thought of being able to heal his leg allows him to do just that. Now, I need to really emphasize this, because Dabura conceptualizing RCT like this and then proceeding to do it is fucking incredible. He's only heard a mere mention, a mere glimpse of the idea that the humans can do this. This isn't the same as Gojo and Higuruma who've done this, because they've had prior knowledge that this kind of thing exists already. They've known about it. They've probably seen other people do it. Dabura has only ever heard about it in passing. He's never seen it. And despite that, he goes and does it. And he now joins the elites within the series with this one feat. Gojo Satoru and Higuruma Hiromi. Those 2 are the only others who have figured out RCT on the fly like this during battle and healed themselves, from one being death and the other losing limbs, displaying prodigy talent. Yuta Rokotsu also did the same thing, but he did output it instead of healing limbs for himself. Mahoraga now shows surprise at this development, because rightfully so, he is now seeing someone who's now going to possess more of a challenge to him. Consider Dabura kind of like if Deku could heal his limbs all in one after a big ass punch, but this does make me wonder about the efficacy of Dabura's cursed energy usage. See, Sukuna was Sukuna, and Gojo had the 6 eyes, and Yuta was essentially the Rothschild of cursed energy here, but Dabura here has been born with cursed energy. The warrior tribe here are aware of it since birth. It's entwined into their culture, so it should be the case that Dabura's cursed energy usage is insanely efficient. But it is worth pointing out, regardless, in case he starts to burn out at maybe using limbs to attack Mahoraga and then heal them. But the chapter switches over from this fight to the Sumerians and the Earthlings, further showcasing this growing divide between them all. One side is showing the Earthlings, who are planning for the eventuality of a cursed spirit outbreak and overflowing, if you will, and ones that are going to flee from the battle of Mahoraga and Dabura here. Now, on the other side of this, there is paranoia growing further and further with the Sumerians, moving to try and capture, subdue, or kill any humans that they find should they need to. And by happen chance, as it would have it, their sides end up colliding, and instantly hostilities rise between the 2 groups as they get ready to fight it out. And it's here that, finally, after 19 chapters and multiple cameos and references, Yuji Itadori finally appears on the battlefield. And with that brings a metric boatload of possibilities. So let's be ecstatic, insanely hyped to see Yuji Itadori back in this manga. But when he arrives, he says two things. I told you it'd end up like this. Well, I guess I haven't really talked to anyone. Now, the first thing I thought was, who is he talking to here? He's asking something. He's talking to someone, but we don't know who. Could he be speaking to the other death paintings that he consumed? Could he be talking to Sukuna? Could he be having a schizo moment of over all the deaths that he's accounted over the years? Maybe he's speaking to Megan. Maybe I am overthinking all of this right now and I'm just talking out loud and he's just talking out loud. But either way, I am very, very happy to see our boy back in the scene. But I have to wonder how Yuji went from this happy, positive child to this where we're at right now. Anyways, Yuji uses convergence almost effortlessly. You can see this globule of blood floating right here, and he is clasping his hands together. Yuji unleashes one of the most scathing, piercing bloods we've seen in the series. Not only is it fast, but it is imbued with tracking that targets the humans and the Sumerians alike indiscriminately, wounding them all before exploding out the sides of this building like a flood. Now, Yuji more than likely right here used piercing blood like Shoso did in his fight against Kenjaku, using the blood as a sort of canal to move supernovas up towards the targets, causing these explosions. Like I said earlier, it is definitely worth going back to reread chapter 202 upwards from Kenjaku versus Choso and their fight right there, because it is probably safe to assume that almost everything Choso has done and can do, that Yuji will also be able to do that same thing. And it's also probably safe to assume that any other of those abilities that have come from this Chaos Boom Death Paintings, he has probably got those also. Now, there is still no face reveal for Yuji. So, crackpot theory, I am betting there is either Sukuna markings under his eyes, a third eye has appeared, he has stitch markings, or he has horns, or all of the above. Maybe I'm a little bit crazy. Anyways, let's talk about Yuji's appearance here and what it means for the story. See, the humans right now in the story, so far, the protagonists and the main cast essentially have been looking for ways to resolve the possibility of conflict between the Sumerians, and on the other side, been looking for Yuji to help with any conflict should it so arise. And now, Yuji has arrived, and his solution is to attack indiscriminately, which seems completely out of character for the Yuji as we knew him. As I mentioned before, how did Yuji go from happy-go-lucky, really positive, hopeful outlook on the future to this? What happened? Was it all the deaths of his friends? Has there been more occurrences that we're not aware of? What has changed Yuji so much that he has ended up at this point? And after he has targeted both humans and Sumerians, for all we know, he might have killed these guys in the process. We don't know. We don't know what's going on with Yuji right now. This could be an entirely different character from what we are used to. A lot of time has passed for these guys. But given the conflict between humans and Sumerians, and now Yuji possibly escalating that conflict even further, because from the eyes of the Sumerians, all they are going to see here is a human harming humans and Sumerians alike. However, they could potentially look at Yuji as some sort of deity, given his heritage, given his inflictions with the Chaos Room Death Paintings, but there is one person that thrives on conflict and hatred that is growing between people. One person that we have seen within the story so long ago that some of us might have forgotten, happened very early on in the series, but a lot has happened since then, so it might have slipped your mind. And that person is Mahito. You see, Mahito is a chaos who is born from the conflict of people, from the hatred spewed between those people. Whether those people need to be human or not remains to be seen. But the connection between humans and Sumerians is chaos energy. Meaning, for Mahito, they may as well be one in the same. And Mahito is born from the hatred spewed between people. So I am potentially predicting Mahito's rebirth very soon, probably after Dabura finally puts Mahoraga down and we get to see Yuji fighting Dabura, I would imagine. Whoever wins that fight potentially ends up fighting Mahito, or maybe they bury the hatchet and Yuji and Dabura have to fight Mahito together. Who fucking knows? I don't know what is going on with this story right now, but I am starting to lean towards the idea that Jujutsu Kaisen is our JJK0, if you would like. the sequel series or the prequel series that is going to lead into a full-fledged sequel, because it seems clear to me that Gege is not done with the story, and despite him in his previous statements looking to explore spin-off options, this story is doing tremendously well sales-wise, volume-wise, and it's a hit with the fans. So I wouldn't be surprised if the series either got extended or led us into a full-blown sequel series. But yeah, that's all from me. Please be sure to like and subscribe, turn on the notifications, follow my Instagram, support me on Patreon if you like the video, and as always, I will catch you guys all in the next one. Much fucking love. Big fucking kisses. Peace.